Lore, 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 lore. Hey guys, Otak here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So today we're going to be talking about the recently revealed archetype of the White Woods. So this archetype is going to be released in Infinite Forbidden, which is coming out really soon in the OCG and not till like July for, you know, the TCG, probably a little later than that. And this archetype is more lore for the currently developing Sinful Spoils Diabellstar storyline. And as to be expected with the current trend of that storyline, all the cards in this archetype or this lore-based world is very broken. And the White Woods is really no exception. These cards are really powerful. So there are currently 11 cards for this archetype that have been revealed, but like I said, they all seem incredibly powerful, and so let's just jump right into it. We, for starters, have Aeria, the White Woods, which, if you look by the art, this is clearly Diabellstar as a child, so I'm assuming this archetype is probably more of a prequel backstory to the characters of Diabellstar and Diabells, I think is what she's called, coming out in the upcoming TCG set of Legacy of Destruction, But she's a level 2 spellcaster light, which I'm sure is very relevant. And her effect reads that you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, so hard once per turn on her name. But the first effect is you can send one spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard and special summon one light spellcaster tuner from your deck. Already right out the gate, we're pretty insane. But then the second effect is if a spell or trap is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster's effect while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card. Not only does it fish out a tuner, but it also can revive itself, because as I'm sure you can probably guess, the remainder of the monsters have effects to send spells and traps to the graveyard, so this card gets recycled pretty easily. Next, we have Reset of the White Woods, which is the other spellcaster coming out in Legacy of Destruction in child form, as you can obviously tell. She is also a level 2 light spellcaster, not the tuners yet. And just like before, both effects are hard once per turns. The first effect is you can send one spell or trap from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and then add one White Woods monster from your deck to your hand, except Reset of the White Woods. And then the second effect is if a light spellcaster tuner is special summoned to your field during your opponent's turn while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. Then we have Sylve of the White Woods, a level 4 spellcaster tuner, light. And again, hard once per turn on both effects, but the first effect is if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one White Wood spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And the second effect is if this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target one White Wood synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon this card, but its effects are negated. So obviously this is the target summon for Aeria. She's the one that will be summoning out Sylve, and then obviously you will be adding a White Wood spell or trap card, which again, more recursion, because not only are you dumping a spell or trap card which has the ability to come back, we'll get in that in a moment, but also you're adding another one which is just further fodder. And then this also has the ability to trigger off Reset's effect if she's in the graveyard, because it has the ability to summon itself from the graveyard by bouncing one of the synchro monsters from either the field or the graveyard. Obviously you're probably going to target the one in the grave so you don't ditch the one that's on the field that might have more application, but it having abilities to do it on the field also has application to dodge certain targeting effects and whatnot. And again, it procs the other level 2 to summon itself. For the last of the main deck monsters, we have Recilia of the White Woods, I think is how that's pronounced. Again, another level 4 spellcaster light tuner. This has 3 effects, all of which are hard once per turns. The first is if you control a White Woods monster, you can special this card from your hand. Pretty plain and simple. The second effect is you can send a spell or trap from your hand to the graveyard and draw a card, so draw power, big whoop, not too over, insane. And then the third effect is if this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target one White Woods synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon this card, but its effects are negated. So the last effect is the exact same as Sylve's, just being able to trigger Reset's ability to summon itself, but also just being able to kind of recur your resources. So far out of the 4 main deck monsters, I think this is kind of the weaker one, because the only good thing about it is it does draw you a card, but also being able to use its graveyard effect to just recur resources and summon itself and trigger off Reset is also pretty powerful, but I imagine this would probably be a one-of in the deck. Next, as I'm sure you could probably have guessed, we are running a synchro-based archetype because there are a bunch of tuners, but we have Silvera, Witch Wolf of the White Woods, a level 6 synchro spellcaster light tuner, so lovely, it's a tuner that is also a synchro monster, love that. It takes 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. The first effect is if this card is special summoned, Book of Moon all your opponent's monsters. Lovely. And then the second effect is illusion and spellcaster synchro monsters you control gain 500 attack. Also, if they attack a defense position monster, inflict double piercing damage. So instantly, even though this card's base attack is 1900, when it gets, to the board, it's actually 2400 and it deals double piercing damage. But also it applies that effect to all illusion spellcaster synchro monsters, which I don't think there's a whole lot of illusion ones aside from the ones in this newly released archetype and possibly in the future, but there's a good bit of spellcaster synchros that'll probably be getting played in this archetype kind of blended in if they're generic enough. It also should be noted that the first effect of special summoning itself to Book of Moon all your opponent's monsters is not a once per turn, so I can see how that could possibly get abused in the future, but obviously, it should be implied that if you're Book of Mooning your opponent's entire board, you probably won't get to do that again, with exceptions of like floaters. We then have Recilia, Wicked of the White Woods. Again, it's a level 6 light spellcaster synchro tuner, so I'm assuming this deck really likes its synchro tuners to kind of float, so maybe Coral Dragon could be used in this extra deck as well. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn, so the first effect is unlike the last one, a hard once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, add 1 White Woods card or 1 light spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand. It's a searching card. It's really good. I can see how this could be very powerful and understand why this one in particular is a hard once per turn. And then the second effect is illusion spellcaster synchro monsters you control gain 500 attack. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Okay, so the synchro monsters apply continuous effects to boost each other and give each other bonus effects, making it a little, difficult to get these things out of the way. And, with the boost from the other synchro monsters, this is a 2500 beater. Not too difficult to get over, but being unable to destroy it by card effects is also a little difficult. And then we have Diabell, Fiendess of the White Woods, a level 8 light illusion synchro monster. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. You can only use the first and second once per turn, so it's a hard once per turn. The first effect is if this card is synchro summoned using a tuner synchro monster as material, you can target 1 spell or trap in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. And the second effect is when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 7 or lower tuner synchro monster from your extra deck, graveyard, or banishment. It can pull from anywhere. That's insane. The second effect is incredibly powerful because it just needs a level 7 or lower tuner synchro monster. Now, tuner synchro monsters are not too common in the game right now. Obviously, it's implied to summon out one of the 2 level 6s to be able to get the bonus effect. You'll probably end up summoning out Recilia, so that way you can't be destroyed by card effects. But there's, I guess, application of this one because a quick effect doesn't apply just to your opponent's turn. It's just when your opponent activates a card. So you can end up summoning out Silvera, Book of Moon, your opponent's entire board, and then just kind of win from there because with Silvera's continuous effect, this card's 3k, and it can fucking do double piercing damage, which is very powerful. This card is very powerful, and I really like just overall where this archetype is going. You will catch me playing this archetype for sure when it comes out. But then we do have spells and traps, or 3 spells and 1 trap. Legend of the White Woods is our first spell. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, hard once per turn, of course. The first effect is if you control an illusion or spellcaster monster, you can add 1 White Woods monster from your deck to your hand. And the second effect is if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster's effect, you can set this card. Now, I'm immediately going to spoil it because I, of course, have read these cards already. The spells and traps all have the effect that when they are sent to the graveyard to activate a monster's effect, you can set them from the graveyard. This card is, this effect is just really powerful because the spells specifically are not quick plays, so you can immediately activate them after you set them, applying this really insane recursion effect to just kind of be like, all right, cool, I'm going to dump this and I'm going to get it back. So you're never really truly dumping it. But then be able to just dump this, put it back, and then activate it to be able to add a monster from deck to hand, just kind of keep the combo going, is just really powerful. The next spell is Beware the White Woods. Both effects are hard once per turn. First effect is if you control a level 6 or higher illusion or spellcaster monster, target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. It's essentially just, it's a pop effect. the second effect, again, is just to reset it after doing its thing. Obviously, you synchro summon a card, or you synchro summon one of the synchro monsters, and then you activate this to pop a card on your opponent's board, and then obviously, you know, it has the ability to set it and just kind of keep playing. This is probably, in my opinion, the more powerful one because it says just target a card, doesn't target a monster or a spell or trap, so you have options. Unfortunately, it targets, which is sad, but, you know, it is what it is. The final spell is Whispers of the Sinful Spoils. So here we have a card that can be searched by Diabellstar, or set by Diabellstar, and this one actually is a quick play. So if you do set it off of the second effect, you can't activate it that turn, but it's a quick play, so who cares? But the first effect, again, hard once per turn, target one illusion or spellcaster monster you control, return that face-up monster to the hand or extra deck, then special summon one illusion or spellcaster monster from your graveyard or banishment. So they're kind of trying to make it so that way you can kind of mesh the Diabellstar stuff into this, obviously because it's the same lore. I don't know how much that will be applicable post-ban list, but we'll have to see whenever that finally fucking comes out. But overall, this is also just really powerful. Like I said, the entire point of the deck seems to be like pump out your synchro monsters and then put them back, so that way you can continue to use them. So I imagine they won't be 3-ofs, they'll be 2-ofs at most. And then for the trap, we have Woes of the White Woods. Again, the second effect is the same. You dump it, you put it in the back row. Obviously, since it's a trap, you can't activate it that turn. But the first effect is special summon one White Woods monster from your hand or deck. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon. Obviously, the trap was going to be the ability to synchro summon on your opponent's turn. That we also kind of saw that coming when we were reading the other cards, because the whole point is that you end up using the synchro or the tuners to summon themselves from the graveyard, activate reset to special yourself from the graveyard because you special the tuner, and then use the trap to synchro summon and do stuff on your opponent's turn, most likely book-a-mooning your opponent's entire board with Silvera. This deck is really powerful, and I can see this deck going somewhere and getting meshed with some other stuff other than the Sinful Spoils engine. Some things my buddies have said is stuff like Centurion or even Witchcrafters. I don't know what Witchcrafters does, but I can see this getting meshed with Centurion for sure. Really, really powerful archetype, and I will definitely be picking this up when it comes out. But overall, I want to know what you all think, so don't forget to leave a comment down below what you think of these new cards, and just really how powerful do you think it's going to be in the meta, you know, when Infinite Forbidden finally comes out. But also, don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. But with that, I will see you all in the next video. See ya!